Do you want to incorporate more vegetables into your diet? Well, have you thought of adding them to your pasta? No, not as they are, but making them into a sauce. This is my chicken and pasta and broccoli sauce. Definitely great for a weeknight meal because it comes together quickly. And if you're trying to sneak a few more vegetables into your kids' diet, this is the perfect solution. So if you'd like to see how this is done, stick around because it's coming up next. Hello and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Roy. I'm a home cook and amateur baker, and I'm here on this channel sharing recipes that have helped me to lose over 125 pounds, whether those recipes are mine or someone else's. Now today is one of mine. It's one that I kept hearing about, people making a broccoli sauce for pasta. So I looked into it. I investigated, I did all sorts of experimentation, and I got a great recipe for you here. Now, if you're like my friend Sandy over at Life with Sandy, her husband does not do green vegetables, so this one would not be for him. But Sandy, I'm sure you'll love it. And I am also working on doing a cauliflower version. I'm not exactly sure it'll be the same method I'm using here, but I will be working on that and hopefully coming out with that soon. So Sandy, hopefully Jim will enjoy that one. So I'm doing a chicken and pasta in broccoli sauce. A lot of them I've just seen as pasta in broccoli sauce, but I wanted to make this a meal. I didn't want to worry about separate proteins and all that stuff, so I figured why not put it all into one dish. So that's what I'm going to be showing you today, so let's go over the ingredients. I have here, of course, some cooking spray. You could use a little bit of olive oil if you prefer, but I think it works just fine with the cooking spray. Here I have about 5 cups of broccoli florets, and I've cut those small. Each floret, if it was like about this size, I cut it into quarters just to make them smaller so that you can see I have just little pieces of broccoli floret here, nothing that's too large, because we are going to be mashing these and we want to make sure that they soften up enough. I also do have little bits of the stalk in here because that will mash up once it's cooked long enough. But this is about a pound of broccoli crowns. You could do the bags and just split those up that are already pre-cut. That's fine as well. But it's going to be about 5 cups. A little more, a little less isn't going to hurt anything. Here I have 8 ounces of pasta. I'm using farfalle today, little bow ties, but any pasta you want would be fine. Here I have 1 pound of chicken breast that is cut up into bite-sized pieces, and that was actually 1 breast. These chicken breasts are getting bigger and bigger by the moment. So this was just 1 breast, 1 large breast that was cut up into this, and it was actually slightly over a pound, but I'm basing all of the macros and calories on a pound of chicken breast. Here I have 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese, and I'm using freshly grated. You could also use Pecorino Romano. I wouldn't use the kind in the canister because that has like additives to keep it from melting much into the sauce. So I would go with fresh, or at least freshly grated. I know there are places that sell it already grated, but it is 1/2 cup. Here I have 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. That is about 3 cloves if you feel like mincing it yourself. You could leave it out if you want, but I do like the flavor it adds. And you could add more, you could add less, you could do what you like. Here I have a 1/2 teaspoon of paprika, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I also have a pot over here that I'm going to bring in and start this boiling over high heat and get that ready to go, and we're going to get started. This comes together pretty quickly. I was going to do this as my quick and easy dinner for the collab that's coming up in September. Is it September yet? I think this does come out September 1st, if I'm not mistaken. So this month. we're gonna have a collab for quick and easy dinners that I'm hosting. I was considering doing this one, but I'm gonna come up with something else because this one was too good not to share. So let me shuffle a few things around and we'll get started. I've got my water boiling. I'm going to spray. I have a large skillet over here, a non-stick skillet. I'm going to just spray that with cooking spray just to get that ready for when we need it. Then I'm going to take all of my spices, the paprika, the garlic powder, the onion powder, salt, and pepper, and I'm just going to whisk that together. You could actually even just put these all on separately and toss it, but I like mixing it together first. And then I'm just going to sprinkle it all over the chicken breast and just toss that around to coat all of this chicken breast with our seasoning mix. You just want that spread throughout the chicken. Okay, I'm actually going to swap out my boiling water for my skillet and get my skillet heated up and keep this water boiling. Because what we first want to do is cook the chicken breast. Now that I have the water boiling, that can stay right where it is. And I am heating my skillet over medium-high heat for this so that we get a nice color on the chicken breast. Okay, that feels hot enough. So what I'm going to do is put the chicken breast in here. And that's exactly what you want to hear, is that little sizzle. If you don't hear the applause, it's not hot enough. And just spread that out into a fairly even layer so that the chicken is all sitting on the bottom of the pan. So now I'm just going to let the chicken sit here for about 2 minutes because we want to get some nice browning, some color on that side. That's going to add some flavor to this. So give me 2 minutes and then we'll move on. All right, so it's been 2 minutes. I'm just going to flip these over and see some nice color on there. And it doesn't have to be too dark. You just want a little bit of color to enhance the flavor. Okay, so now that I have them all flipped, I'm gonna let them sit for about another minute just to get a little bit more color on that side. Okay, so it's been about a minute, so I'm just going to separate any pieces that seem to have cooked together or that are too large for being bite size, and give it another minute or two just for the chicken to finish cooking through. Okay, so the chicken is cooked through. I'm going to turn the heat down to medium, and I'm going to put this onto a plate and let this sit for a little bit while we work on the rest of our dish. Now, I'm going to be moving pots around. I normally wouldn't, but because of the camera, I need to be able to have you see what is happening. Now, typically, I would just leave this over the medium heat for right now, but because I'm recording this, I'm going to pull in my pasta pot and get this boiling again, because the broccoli needs to cook for just 5 minutes here. Normally I'd be doing these things together, but for the sake of the video, I'm splitting it up just so you can see what is happening. The water is boiling. I'm going to take my broccoli florets and carefully throw those in. Now this is salted boiling water, so you want to make sure that it's salted so that way it gets some flavor. So I'm going to let this sit here for 5 minutes and cook, and I'll be back. All right, so the broccoli has been cooking for about 5 minutes. I have here a spider. They call it a spider because it looks kind of like a spider web. And you can use a slotted spoon, what have you. What we're gonna do is take our broccoli out of our pot of boiling water and put it directly into our skillet. And just spread that out a little bit. Then I'm going to take some water. You want about a half a cup of water and put that in here with the broccoli. So it's going to continue cooking. Meanwhile, what we're going to do with this water is just add our pasta right into it. Now this is going to take 15 minutes. We're going to go about a minute under what they suggest. So unfortunately, I picked a long cooking pasta. I don't know why. Typically, I get like 8 or 9 minutes, which would match this a little bit better. But it is what it is. I'm gonna toss in my pasta. I'm gonna give that 14 minutes and then I'm gonna drain that. This, we're gonna cook down for about 8 to 10 minutes. And if the water evaporates too much, you can add a little bit more in there, but it should be fine just as it is. So give me about 8 or 10 minutes and I'll be back. All right, so I spent about 8 minutes. What I want to do is test the stalk pieces that are in here and see if they are mashable, and they are. So what I'm going to do is take a fork and carefully, because this is a non-stick skillet, just mash all of our broccoli into a paste. Now, if you wanted, what you could do is take some of those broccoli pieces out and use them as a garnish if you want like little chunks of broccoli on there. But I just mash it all. I don't worry about the presentation of it. Just keep mashing until you don't really see big chunks of broccoli in here. And that looks good. So now what I'm going to do is make a little space in the center, and I'm going to add in the garlic. Now I also need 2 cups of the pasta water. Normally the pasta would have been done by now, but you don't want to dump it. You want to reserve about 2 cups of the pasta water before you drain the rest of it. So I'm just going to steal some from our farfalle here. And it doesn't have to be precise, you just want about 2 cups. And I'm going to switch off of my fork for my spatula and just stir that garlic in through the broccoli. And then add in our Parmesan cheese and about 1 cup of the water. And we're going to cook this to get that Parmesan incorporated in here and get our sauce nice and loose. Now, I took 2 cups of the water out just in case once I've added everything back in, you may need a little bit more. So I didn't want to dump it all and then have to use something else in its place. And the starch in that pasta water is going to help the sauce to thicken up a little bit as well. So that's why you want to use the pasta water. And my pasta should be ready in a minute, so let me get that drained. All right, so the heat is still on. I'm going to add in the pasta because we did undercook it by about a minute or so. So we want to cook it, the rest of it in the sauce. Okay, so now I'm going to add back in the chicken, and I'm going to add in any juices that have accumulated because those juices are flavor. So I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to stir this carefully through here. You can add a little bit more of the pasta water and stir that through. But that's all there is to making this delicious chicken and pasta and broccoli sauce. I mean, look at that sauce, nice and green. As I said, if you're not a fan of broccoli, I am working on a way of doing a cauliflower sauce. You may even be able to do it the exact same way, but since cauliflower is a little firmer, it may not mash as easily, but that is one of the things I am going to try. Now I'm going to keep the pasta water while this is setting. I'm going to cover it to retain the heat, and that way we can go over all of the lovely nutrition facts. Now this is going to serve 4 people. If you wanted to reduce the bites and points on this by 1, you could use 6 ounces of pasta instead, but I'm willing to take the hit with that 1 bite because this is so good and so filling. I'm on the Healthy Better Balanced plan, equivalent to the old WW Blue plan, which is somewhere around their current plan. So you may have to adjust 1 point up or down based on the new plan. But as it is at 7 bites or points. Now, if you are following calories, the calories for this would be 419. And if you are following macros, the fat would be 5.7 grams. Saturated fat would be 1.8 grams. Protein would be 37.3 grams. Carbs would be 56.7 grams. Fiber would be 7.3 grams. And sugars would be 3.8 grams for 1/4 of this dish. Now you could use like Fiber Gourmet pasta to bring those bites and points down. You could use wheat pasta. I believe that would bring the carbs down. So there are ways to play around with this. You don't have to do it exactly as I've done it here. But it does look delicious, and it really does smell good too. You don't really get a broccoli smell. A great way to sneak some vegetables in if the kids aren't really in a vegetable mood. Just tell them it's a pasta sauce. They might even be intrigued by the fact that it's green. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video and this recipe, I would appreciate you doing the usual. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit that notification bell for the next time I upload any sort of video, such as that collab that's going to be coming up later this month. And if you want the recipe for this, it is of course going to be on my blog, and I will link directly to the recipe down in the description box, as well as to the blog itself. Also down there is my Amazon storefront. If I've used anything in the kitchen that you think you'd be interested in, food, utensils, pans, what have you, it's probably there. And I also have my social media down there. I have my Instagram and 3 Facebook groups that I'm part of. So check out that description box for all sorts of information. So I'm going to go get this all plated up and ready to devour, and I hope that you'll be doing the same yourself very soon. So until next time, bye.